Hello folks, Jason Chrisman here, JC's Bees. And before we get into today's video, I want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to all of the Super Clean winners. The Super Clean winners are going to get the hat of their choice, and they're going to get a 4-pack of Super Clean. So the winners I drew the other day are Greg, Hyatt, Mike S, Sub WY King, Barry's Bees, and Ford Towman. Congratulations to each and every one of you. I will be giving your address to Super Clean, and they will be sending out your goods. I'd love to hear back. You can go back to that video after you get your products and comment. I would love to hear what you think of the product after you give it a try. Also, Mike S, I have not heard back from you. I need you to email me. I replied to your comment on my Super Clean video that you needed to email me, and I have yet to hear from you. I need your address, buddy. So please go back to that video, get my email, or down in this video's description would be my email, and you can send me your information that way. I greatly appreciate it. I'm kind of waiting to hear from you so I can get all this information over to Super Clean. So, not to say you're holding everybody up, but you are. No big deal. Don't stress over it, buddy. For those of you who are still interested in Super Clean, I'm going to try and do another Super Clean giveaway here in a few weeks. But this time, instead of the ball cap, I'm going to offer a Super Clean t-shirt, and no, this isn't one of them. This is a very stained up t-shirt because it's hot and I got a lot of work to do today. Okay, so on to today's video. A week ago today, I had a customer here to pick up his nukes. He's telling me about this swarm he just caught and how it was his first swarm capture. He's telling me he had to go on YouTube and watch some videos because he didn't really have any experience capturing swarms. Well, it wasn't but 5 minutes later, we're standing there talking about something else, and one of my nukes swarmed. And that's what today's video is about: capturing the swarm, transferring them into the box, and getting them set up in my bee yard. So check it out. I would love to hear your thoughts and your comments down below. So yeah, check it out. Just moments ago, folks, I had a customer here to pick up some nukes. Me and Chris were standing there talking, and about that time, this blue nuke that you see here on the end swarmed. Chris just left minutes ago. As you can see, there's hardly any traffic at the entrance of the hive now. I've since popped open the hive, and look, there's a decent amount of bees in there. So this is what is left after the swarm, or what they left behind with queen cells. So I'm going to close it back up, and then I want to take you down to where the swarm is and let you get a look. So here's the location of this box. Over there is the location of the swarm trap I hung on the tree, just in case one of my colonies would swarm. And here is my swarm. Big, gigantic swarm. I've got my queen catcher here. If I would happen to see the queen, I'm going to put her in this. But right offhand, I do not see her. Now, ought to be the original queen that was in there, so she should be marked. But so far I see nothing. So I'm going to try and shake them into a box real quick. I got to get it set up, shake them in, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so my goal is, I got a frame of brood down in there from the hive that they swarmed from. I'm going to shake them down in there. Hopefully the queen falls down in, and I'm going to put a lid on it. Try to get you a view here real quick. I'm trying to find now is the queen so I can cage her. Doesn't help any that there's one bee that's carrying yellow pollen around, and every time I see the yellow mark I think that's her. Got her. Got her and a couple of attendants walking around on some comb. Just happened to catch her walking across this side over here of this frame and got her in there. Now you'll notice on my queen catcher cage I've got some screen on the inside. That's because I've had swarms where I've caught and it's had a virgin, and the virgin was able to fit between these gaps. So with the screen in there, not able to get out anymore. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to lay this in the bottom. I'm going to leave those frames out just temporarily. I'm going to put the lid on and I'm going to come back an hour, maybe 2 hours. By then, all this activity around the edge should have calmed down. They're back to work. We use some smoke to push them up over the edge. You notice how I'm keeping the smoker down below the edge of the box so it doesn't go in to the box. I don't want to chase them out, I want to chase them in. There we go, now we can put my lid on. And now you can see they're trying to get in the entrance that I have screened off. And I screened this off because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to catch the queen. And I know how this works. You think you've caught the swarm, you put them in the box, you wasn't able to cage the queen, and she decides to go swarm again. So to keep from chasing the swarm over and over, I plugged it off just in case I wasn't able to capture her. So since I did, I should be completely safe to remove this. Let the bees fly. The queen is contained and they're not going to leave without her. It may be in my best favor though, her interest, to move this hive where they will be sitting permanently. Still got a few bees up here hanging around being all contrary. Sorry for all the camera moving, but I'd like you to be able to see all of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend this wind down. Still has this little bit of a clump of bees on it, and we're going to take it off right on top. And I do not see another queen. So we're in good shape. And I think just for safekeeping, I am going to go ahead and move them. But I'm just going to move them from there right over to here. You see where that bottom board is for a nuke? I'm going to set it right beside that. Now I got one more thing I want to do to keep the bees from returning to that area. And what I'd like to do is go get my Fisher's Be Quick and just spray those limbs right there. So let me run and do that real quick. Okay, so I've got two options. I already mentioned the Fisher's Be Quick. Your other option is Honey Bee Gone. Neither one of these will hurt honeybees, they just do not like the smell. That's one thing I like about the Honey Bee Gone. You got an adjustable nozzle, so I'm able to put it in a straight stream and just coat the whole side of the tree. That way that little cluster don't just keep moving up. Now I don't want to go over here and mess with these bees any that we just moved, because now I smell like Honey Bee Gone and I would just force them to leave. So my best action that I can do right now is leave, go wash up, cool down, take a little break, come back and assess the rest of this situation. Which I'm hoping these bees here will learn the queen's in this box and I'll move over. Time will tell. Right off the bat, let me apologize. I don't have my external microphone clipped on, so I'm going to have to speak a little louder and hope you hear everything I have to say. And that's for this whole overall video. When something like this happens, you just take what you've got and run with it. What I had with me was my cell phone, not my microphone. So, is what it is. So a couple hours have passed now. I'm back out here. You can see the bees are flying. They're entering the hive just fine. Over on the tree itself, maybe 2 or 3 bees flying around, but nobody's landing on the tree. So, looking good there. Now what I want to do now, I think, is I want to transfer them from the 10 frame box over to a nuke. And that is not necessary for everybody to do that's caught a swarm. Myself, I would rather have them in a double nuke setup than a 10 frame box, just because I sell nukes. This is a potential sale for next year. I can split it in half and sell 2 nukes. So it's going to be easiest for me to go ahead and place them in that nuke setup now. So let's get in there, open it up. Oh, and one more thing. I think I'm going to leave that queen in that queen catcher for a couple days. You can see in this nuke I've got a frame feeder. I'm going to go ahead and top that off. If you haven't seen my video on fixing the float systems on these frame feeders, check that out. I'll link it up here in the corner. So what we'll do now is open it up, transfer everything over, and then back here in the back I have a second nuke box to go ahead and put on top, so they've got plenty of room to do what they need to do. I got my SERP here to top off the feeder, and I'll do that afterwards, that way no bees are drowning. First thing I want to do is start transferring this brood frame over. Bees have a hard time leaving brood that needs attended. So when you give a swarm fresh frame of brood, almost locks them in from leaving. I think what I'm going to do is put this in the top box. This frame here needs drawn out. But by putting the feeder in the top box, I won't have to break the boxes apart every time just to add food. And I'm going to feed them, not because there's a lack of nectar. I'm going to feed them because I'm giving them this new foundation and it's drawn out. See that little back and forth motion right there I do? The reason I do that is you can see bees down through there crossing through, and if you kind of put a little pressure on them without squishing them, they realize, hey, he's trying to close that, and they back out. Then you're able to close it without squishing any bees. The fun part's going to be getting all these bees that are festooned to the wall. It's just an empty frame with a piece of foundation across the top for a wedge. Personally, I don't like putting this on the edge of the box because it gives them a lot of room. So I'm going to have to squish all the frames to this side. You know, and I'm thinking now I could use my Ceracell nuke feeder versus that frame feeder. That might be the better option. Okay, so we've got 5 frames in there. We've still got a lot of bees here in this box. Let me pause the video and go get my bee brush. I think that's going to be the easiest way to get them off these sides and into there. Transfer the queen. So there she is. Now I've learned a long time ago, you got to be very careful with this clip because it only takes a little tiny bit of pressure on this end and that end will open. Take a couple frames out of here, make some room. Add our second box. Got one more frame here with bees festooning on it. I'll transfer that over. And this one's got a half of a sheet of foundation, and my hopes are that they'll continue to draw this comb down to the bottom. Kind of a little experiment. Okay, these ones ought to start to notice soon there's a lack of a queen pheromone. What I'm going to do, and I probably should check my camera angle here before I do this. This is why you need a cameraman. Okay, what I'm going to do is try and set each side over that of the 10 frame box over the nuke, and then sweep the sidewall off, flushing the bees down in, turn it, sweep. That is the game plan. Cover your arms. And Smokey. You know what? We may not have to sweep it. Let me take this camera off of here and show you what these bees are doing. These bees aren't stupid. Look at them migrating right across the top edge, working their way across. They know Mama's down there. You gotta go find Mama. Give them a little bit of smoke over here on this side wall. Encourage them to keep going around. And get those festoon ones moving down there by giving them some smoke. You gotta remember, they swarmed. Everybody in here is a forager, has at least had flight lessons. They know how to orientate, they know how to fly. So you don't have to worry about, oh, well, there's some nurse bees over there. They can't make it back to here because they've never had flight lessons. Well, that's not the case. These ones swarmed, and they showed me they could fly. Look over here. We're working our way down. Over here, we're still working our way across. Probably ought to get rid of this old landing board I have here. Got that so glued up there on top, I can't get it open. Give them another place to fan there. I brought over a queen cage thinking maybe I could transfer her from my queen catcher to that, but there's a pretty good chance she'd just fly out, and I don't want to risk that, so. Look, still migrating. We're going it over here now. I'm going to give them a couple minutes to do that, and then we'll come back. Alright, as you can see, well, maybe you can't. Try and give you a little sun visor here. Can't tell what you can see. But anyway, hopefully you can see most of the bees have left this box. And as I stated a little bit ago, all of these bees have had flight lessons. So what I'm going to do now is just simply take this box, set it down here on the ground right beside the nuke. They'll figure things out. Bees aren't dummies. I've been keeping bees long enough, you know that. Okay, so now I can finish my work here. I think I'm going to go ahead and use my Ceracell feeder, so I won't necessarily need the top frame feeder that I was originally planning to use. You can see I just moved my queen catcher cage up between these two frames. This is where you don't want to push it over very far because it will open it. I don't think there's enough room between boxes though for it to sit between frames, so that's about my only option. This ought to help the bees find the food from the top feeder because they're going to be right up here with the queen anyway, so should all work out just fine. And in a day or two I'll let her out of that. Now the top hive feeder. So there we go. Now I'll open it and show you what that looks like. Which is a good thing because it kind of looks like I need to turn these anyway. Looks like the high side or the low side is over this way. So the way these work is the bees have access through the bottom here in these clear corners to come up and over and down in and get access to their food, and you don't have to open the hive. Got a video on these too. I'll link that up in the corner. And then just some simple 1-to-1 sugar syrup. This is how you get comb built. Now one thing I've learned is it can take a little bit for them to learn how this works. But if you take this little cover off and kind of push a little bit of syrup to the back side and let it run down on them and around the area, they seem to find it a little quicker. So I'm going to get a little bit of syrup on here and I'll let it fall back in there. You don't want to drown them. Just want to get some of it to run down the walls and drip around the area. So there we go. Then you want to put on a lid that is pretty airtight. So I'm going to use this one in combination with this. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I tell you folks, first thing I need to do, I guess now, is get rid of those tags and give it a new number. Those tags were for nukes that were sold, so they're pretty useless now. I guess what I could do is just start using them over again, which is what I normally do. So we'll make it number 803. I mean, why wouldn't you? It just sounds like you've got 803 hives. That sounds cool. Yeah, let's say it's 803. A lot of these cattle tags are from the farm, from the cattle I manage. I either didn't use them or just leftovers. So I use them on the hives. But anyway, if you look, you can see that they're coming out of the box. They're walking up. They're climbing over onto the nuke. Life is beautiful. Now I imagine it's going to take them a few days to eat all that syrup I gave them. But I'll still probably come back in about 2 days and release the queen from her cage. At that time, I may also, just as an added piece of insurance, add another frame of open brood. Because by that point, the frame of brood that they got, I didn't pay much attention to the stages it was in. I just noticed it was open brood. I guess I did see a few eggs. So I guess in 2 days, not all of it will be capped, but there could be some of it that's capped. And once it's capped, I'm not sure how much it influences them to stay and to not swarm. So just for added insurance, I'm going to add another frame of freshly laid brood. So as you can see folks, this is that swarm. They're doing very well. They're using both entrances now. Both boxes have pretty much got bees in them. It's looking pretty good. I'm really happy with it. So hopefully I don't have any more swarms from my colonies this year. I usually average 1 a year that I miss a swarm cell in, and this should take account for that. So hope you enjoyed the video. If so, you'll throw me a big thumbs up and that'll help boost it in the YouTube search ranks. If you didn't like it, well, I'm sorry. Move on with your life. If you haven't subscribed, please take time to do so and make sure you click on that little bell so you get notified when I release new videos. Thanks for watching folks, and I invite you all over to check out my Patreon page, which is listed down in this video's description. Check it out. There's a lot of free information over there, and if you're willing to support me, you'll get a lot more information. So check that out, and thanks for watching folks. We'll see you next week.